everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Rogue Deck Chronicles. As always, my name is John, and this time sitting across from me, we've got Dean back.
Hello, everyone. I am back.
So, we first wanted to apologize that we missed a week of episodes between traveling, work, some of us getting sick.
Hi there.
In our households. We had to postpone last week's episode recording, but we're back. Our hiatus has got us a little bit more to talk about. Some things have happened that we're really excited to talk about. So we are going to go ahead and talk about that. So first, Dean, how was your trip to Canada?
It was really fun. Hung out with a lot of family, explored a lot of beautiful scenery, did a lot of Pokemon Go. I went up with my family. My brother came up with us, and he's very big into Pokemon Go. So everywhere we went, we're just seeing what the new stops we're getting. We got tons of like the postcard stuff. I actually also caught a Wiglet.
Oh, nice.
That you can only find those in the beach biomes, which you think being in Florida, I do that a lot. I don't go to the beach a lot. I grew up on the beach, so I'm kind of like got tired of that when I got into my adulthood. But yeah, we went up to this shore, and we both caught a Wiglet. And it was just beautiful seeing the rocky beaches where we were at, and yeah, it's very different from what we're used to down here, and it was very nice. And went to Toronto, which we'll talk about a little bit, visit some family there, and actually got a little taste of the Pokemon scene there while I was visiting some family, so we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, so I know you played a challenge there.
I did.
And then last week we had a challenge at our sponsor shop, For Honor and Glory, so that was fun. We had a few interesting decks that we either played or hit against, so that was fun. And then this week we're looking forward. We don't have one but two tournaments that we're in this week.
We do, yes.
Yeah, so we got a challenge at Coliseum of Comics, New Tampa, and then we've got the Cup at For Honor and Glory this week as well. So that is going to be a fun weekend for us. So if you are out in the local scene, definitely come say hi to us. If you've been listening and have any suggestions, always feel free to talk to us about that. We're always looking to make this better for you guys going forward. We definitely want to grow this as much as we can, so definitely let us know what we can do to make this podcast better for you.
Absolutely, yeah. We love hearing ideas from you all and just talking and chatting about what you like about this podcast, and also like some other rogue decks that you've been either playing or seeing yourselves, and just bring it on to us, and we're there for you.
All right, so let's get into this episode here. We're really going to focus on the tournaments that we have played in the past couple weeks, the tournaments that we're going to be playing in the next couple of days, what we think the meta is going to be like, what we expect to see, those kinds of things. So that's really our goal for today. We're also going to introduce a new segment to our episodes going forward as well. And then, of course, we'll always go into our Rogue Deck of the Week, which we have a really interesting one this week here. But, so I guess we'll start with the first tournament that we had this season, which that's Dean. He went to a tournament in Toronto.
Yeah, went up to Toronto, found out there was a couple challenges and a few cups. One, I was visiting some family, and we had an off day, so I asked my family, hey, would you mind me going to this quick tournament? It's only a challenge, so only a couple hours. So we all drove out to this little suburb, and my wife and my aunt drank some coffee at a local Starbucks, and I went to play against 13 lovely people up there. To say that the Toronto scene is competitive is an understatement.
Really? Comparatively to here?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of big names up in Toronto. I didn't see any of those, but even with the people I did face, like one of my opponents, it was a senior, but he made Worlds.
Okay.
And that was a really tough matchup, but it was fun. Got 5th out of 13 people. Ended up at table 1 on the last round of the challenge, so that's always a good feeling. ID'd. Just so happened, just didn't make the top cut. I was close, but it was fun. So we did 4 rounds. My first round opponent was a Lugia player. I lost that one, but I couldn't draw what I needed. Just dead drawing. He was lucky in his flips and just getting his board state.
And you were playing Ancient Box, right?
I was playing Ancient Box, yeah. So I just wasn't drawing the super odds to get my Roaring Moons back. I wasn't really getting anything. So I lost that one. My second round was against the senior player. He was playing Lost Box. So with playing Ancient Box is a fairly decent matchup. As long as I start the Flutter Mane, which I was able to, made him to take a long time to get his Lost Zone get going. Problem is, he pulled out the Iron Bundle turn 1. I didn't have the second Flutter Mane, so he was able to get it going. So I kind of turned off that strategy, but it takes them a bit to knock you out.
Right.
So in turns, I won that one. And I remember getting into turns, he had like a 10-minute turn 0.
Yeah.
Just being a Lost Zone player.
Yeah, they're gonna.
So, but I pulled it off, got the Sada when I needed it, and he was like, "Yep, you got it." I'm like, "Whew." Round 3 went against Dialga. I know that deck very well. I played that towards a bit of the last season.
Yeah, you kind of became the resident Dialga player.
I like my metal type Pokemon, which, hint, you'll see in Rogue Deck of the Week. But yeah, he was able to get his board set up, but he just wasn't able to close it out. He kind of fumbled on getting some Pokemon he needed to, and I just took advantage of that, and I was able to close that game out. And then round 4, I ID'd. Like I said earlier, I was in table 1, and it was against Snorlax Stall. I'm glad I ID'd, because that is a very poor matchup. We had fun. He was surprised with my list. My list is a little different than what most Ancient Box players play. But it was fun, get to know the people. Got 5th out of 13 players, so not too bad.
No, not at all.
But yeah, the crew accepted me, welcomed me really quickly. It was like talking to people I've known for years. It was really
Awesome.
Nice community up there. Apparently GLC is very big in Toronto, because I'm like, there's not a lot of people here. I was expecting a lot of people. Like, oh, there's a GLC tournament in East Toronto. Everyone's there. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that was a big thing here. Like,
That's
oh yeah,
awesome that GLC gets a lot more pull than a standard tournament. Now, granted, these are standard tournaments that are at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of top players are also still preparing for Worlds. I know some of our resident players are using these as tests, but the problem is that we have Shrouded Fables coming out here next week.
Yeah.
That's going to impact Worlds.
Oh yeah.
So, for those of you that are looking for Shrouded Fables in the local area, where should they go to?
Oh, they should go to For Honor and Glory up in Zephyr Hills, Florida.
And why should they do that?
They are a sponsor of this podcast, and they're great people. So a big win on both sides. But yeah, go to For Honor and Glory. They have all your Pokemon needs. And if you're into other games such as Warhammer, Dungeons & Dragons, Lorcana, whatever trading cardboard game needs you have, they have it all for you. If not, they'll be able to order it and help you out in any way necessary. They're great people, very fun, enthusiastic. They love gaming. And we're just glad that we have them as our proud sponsor for this podcast.
Yep. So just as always, if you go to forhonorandglory.com as well, you can use discount code ROGUE24. That's discount code ROGUE24 for 10% off your entire online order. All right, but getting back to what's going on here, we not only had your tournament in Toronto, we had the challenge at For Honor and Glory last week as well.
We did. That was fun. We had, 11 people show up to that?
So we had 13 in the Masters division.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yes, so we did have 13 as well. I played the Ogre Box, as I'm coining it. We talked about that, I think, episode 2, that was our Rogue Deck of the Week.
We did, yeah.
I made a few tweaks to it, thanks to playing multiple testing games against our resident Guardy player, Justin, and I still lost to him in the finals.
To be fair, he's going the world.
He is, but it was I also was tired by that time. I made too many misplays on stream too, which was fun.
It was late in the day too, because these tournaments are later. It was after
Yeah.
work, so it's understandable. Plus, I believe Guardy is a tough matchup for you anyway. So
It is a little bit, because I don't have a lot of ways around things not getting hit like I do in other games. So we'll talk about that. But so I was playing Ogre Box. You were playing Ancient Box again.
yeah, I stick with one deck until I have to switch.
Yeah, so I ended up getting second place, which was really fun.
And I was there.
The fact that one of us got a not even top 4 placement, a top 2 placement with a rogue deck was just awesome.
Oh yeah, that's the best feeling too. Like everyone's like, "What are you playing?"
Yeah.
It's like, "Yeah, I got second." Haha.
Right? So, first round, I was on stream, and I ended up playing against a Lost Zone deck, a Lost Box.
Mm-hmm.
That one was a very, very close matchup, because I wasn't thinking, and I loaded up a Teal Mask with a whole bunch of energy, and I started using the Bravery Charms. So instead of having 210 HP, I've got 260 HP. I'm sitting there, pretty.
Yeah.
Letting people try and knock me out for a bit. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this knockout here. I'm gonna load it up with grass energy, and then he brought out a Lost Vacuum. Goodbye, my Bravery Charm. So in one turn, I went from being up 2 to 6 prize cards to 2-2. Very quickly. But then I ended up top decking a Radiant Charizard, put him into the active with the Luminous Energy I had in hand, and that was... I attacked, couldn't get the knockout, he couldn't retreat, and then he, for some reason, switched out, but he bossed up my Wellspring, and I had Beach Court in play, so whoop. And I knocked out his what did he have in the active? He had the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX.
Gotcha.
So I got that and got my final 2 prize cards. So that was nice there. But yeah, that was my first round. What was your first round?
So my first round was against Charizard EX. Played against this player last season. Very nice guy, great player. I just misplayed. I didn't have a bench set up. He was able just to basically board wipe me. I just made a dumb mistake. I played either a secret box or playing my Explorer's Guidance, and I just didn't grab the nest ball when I should have, and I just scooped as soon as I saw that he had game. No need to finish it out. I knew what was coming, but Charizard is a hard matchup for me because of the HP.
Yeah.
And I basically need to discard my whole entire deck to even have a chance of one-shotting that thing.
Right.
So that was rough. But great player, nice guy.
Yep.
He did well in the tournament, so
yeah, I think
not like I lost to.
I think he ended up either 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then round 2, you were on stream.
Yes, I was.
I ended up playing against a Chen Pao. I played against a senior player who's one of our resident senior players going to World.
Mm-hmm.
He did not like my deck because he thought he knew what he was playing up against to start off, and then all of a sudden I started discarding the other Ogre Pond masks, and he's like, "What's that? What's that?
Let me read that card.
Why are you discarding that? What do you mean?" And then all of a sudden, it was close towards the end, but then all of a sudden I had 2 Cornerstone masks, and he had already discarded his Iron Hands, and he was playing Chen Pao. So that means everything else that he had the ability to use, and he had already used his 2 Super Rods. There was no way that he could attack either of my Cornerstones. So he was just like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and scoop here. So that was round 2 for me. How about you?
So as John mentioned, I was selected to go on stream. So I went against our friend Jesse. Great guy. Love playing against him. He was playing Dragapult.
Right.
So very close matchup. We actually ended up in a tie. Another tough matchup for me. Another bulky stage 2 Pokemon.
Yep.
I was able to boss around his Pokemon. He started with Rotom in the active in the beginning of the game, and I had Flutter Mane, so he couldn't really draw. So I tried to take that to my advantage as much as possible. And then he was trying to get my Radiant Greninja using the 60 damage counters, and I used Palpad to get my Penny back into my deck, draw into it, and I used Penny to get it up so that way he couldn't get an easy 2 prizes. And at that point, we're in turns. We looked at each other like, there's no way we're going to get our prizes. So we shook hands took the tie. But it was a very close match. He's a great player. I can't wait to see how he does with this season. I know he's going to try to make a push to do well as many tournaments as he can. So we're here cheering him on. But yeah, it's a very close matchup. I'm glad I got the tie from that. It easily could have been a loss.
Yeah. So then round 3, I ended up playing the Charizard deck that you played round 1, and I got so lucky. So lucky. So turn 1, I was going. I went first. So yeah, I had turn 1. I had Hisuian Heavy Ball in hand. I looked at my prize cards. I had 3 Ogerpon mask items in my in my prize cards. So I was like, "Oh, great! I'm not going to be able to play the game." So I just teal danced, Luminous Energy, pass. He had a Charmander in play. Evolved it to a Charmeleon. Passed.
Oh, wow. Nothing else on the bench?
Nothing else on the bench.
Wow, I top decked
a Grass Energy. I was like, I'm so sorry. 120 damage, I win.
You got the one-time Charizard bricked.
Yeah.
You were lucky.
I was like, okay. So that was my round 3. What was your round 3?
So my round 3 was against a United Wings deck. We have a junior player. So those who haven't been to these challenges before, if you don't get enough of the juniors or seniors, or really any division, everyone just plays among each other. So sometimes you have to go against junior players, senior players. It just depends on who comes out to the tournaments.
Right. Normally, if we can get 6 combined between the juniors and seniors, we can pod them together.
Correct, yeah.
And then it's just masters by themselves.
Yeah, so with this shop, it's known not to really get that many people, so we're all used to it at this point. So I go against one of the local juniors, and he's been piloting this United Wings for months now.
Right.
It's a great deck for him. It helps him with sequencing. And how, John, so you know how you had your Hisuian Heavy Ball and notice you had 3 masks in your prizes?
Yeah.
So I did my first deck search, realized I had 3 Roaring Moons in my prizes.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I was recycling the same Roaring Moon for 6 turns.
Oh, jeez.
So that was fun. So between that, I was utilizing my Flutter Mane, trying to get that going. But with Ancient Box, like, you rely on your moons.
Right.
So, it just took a while. It's a single prize deck against a single prize deck. Ended up in a tie. I it is what it is. It's one of those. It's basically like we both have to try to get as many of our get our discard ready so we can do the big attacks.
Right.
And just not having my attackers ready to me, I just couldn't pull it off. He couldn't pull it off because I was getting rid of his attackers too. So it was another long round, but got another tie. So I'm at 0-1. That will put me at 0-1-2.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my round 3.
So then round 4, I'm at table 1 against the only other 3-0, which was Justin. So we were on stream, and I was stupid. I tried to Wellspring too early, and I switched out a Wellspring and realized to retreat and actually attach for turn I wasn't going to be able to. So I don't know why I wasted that turn. And then at another point, I tried to take out the active and something on the bench, and he had a Manaphy on the bench, and I wasn't paying attention. So, and I had already declared the attack. He was like, "You can take it back." I'm like, "No, Justin, I declared the attack." So I was not thinking at that point. So that was round 4 for me. I think I took maybe 1 prize card, maybe 2. Yeah, it was not a great round.
But he won the whole tournament.
4-0, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but in testing, there were games that I had beaten him, so it was just like, dude, I know I can do better against you. Like, every other game, except for the one game that mattered, they were close games. But that one just wasn't, so... But it's what it is. I ended up second that way with a 3-1. So, how was your round 4?
So my round 4 was against one of our resident Poke parents. Is actually the parent of the round 3 opponent. She was just there to support her kid. She didn't really have much of a deck. I donked her. She set up a Beldum. I set up one of my attackers. She attached energy, and then I just knocked out the Beldum.
No.
So it is. But she was playing a super binder dump deck, and afterwards I used that as an opportunity to look at her deck, like, hey, let me see what we can do with this. How can we make this better for next time? I took a look at the list and offered some suggestions, and I looked at her daughters she also played in the tournament as well, and she was like, yeah, thank you, and we just want to see how they can do better next tournament, because I told them, like, all because your child's playing doesn't mean you can't have fun and do well too. Like, let's get you a good deck. Let's make you a good trainer. So I think she liked that encouragement.
Awesome.
So, but went overall 1-1-2. So only lost 1 match.
Right.
But with only 4 rounds.
Right.
I went 8th, but
yeah,
it was just one of those nights.
Nope, that makes sense. So, after that, what are some of the things that you would maybe tweak going into the tournaments that we have going on this week? Because I know probably tomorrow we're going to be facing a lot, or when this airs tonight, we're going to be facing probably some Regidrago, probably some Miraidon, and probably some Bolt. Those Raging Bolt. Those are probably going to be the 3 archetypes, and maybe a Guardy or 2 depending on who shows up. Yeah. So those are probably what I think we're not going to see a lot of Zard, because we normally don't see a lot of Zard there.
But that doesn't mean we're not going to... I would expect to see maybe 1.
Right. So are there any tweaks that you think you're going... And if you don't want to say, because we're playing tomorrow, you don't have to say, like...
So one tweak I will make is winning. Since I have not done that lately. But no, I'm playing more or less a standard Ancient Box deck.
Right.
I'm not there. I have a couple changes, but it's nothing like lavish or like raise an eyebrow. It's just some of my decks. But with me, one thing I've noticed is I just need to work on my speed of play, my tempo of play.
Right.
I just need to not get into the ties. Granted, some of the ties I can't really help. When I was in Toronto, I actually didn't tie that much. My only tie was
Right.
my ID. But I did go into rounds of... I went into turns a couple times, but
Right.
it was against like a single prizer versus single prizer. So those you can't really avoid unless we're both playing at lightning speed.
Right.
So that's probably the main thing I need to work on. And also like maybe my decision making, figuring out the line to play more quickly. But yeah, I don't know what to expect tomorrow. Maybe a lot of Bolt, which is a decent matchup.
I think it's a decent matchup for you because even though Bolt is a lot faster at getting set up than you, they're only taking one prize each turn instead of two. So that gives you a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
So and you can take those big swings. Now the only thing that I think your issue with Raging Bolt is going to be is a lot of people are going away from the Bravery Charms to the Ancient Booster Capsules.
To me, they're the same. It's only added 10.
But that's another card you got to discard. So
yeah, that's the only thing.
That's the only thing. So I think that may be something to maybe look at throwing a Lost Vac in there, or if you are running one, maybe another one.
I've been looking at that because I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, any big, bulky HP Pokemon is an issue with this deck until the late game, and at that point it could be too late. This Ancient Box was a good matchup before the introduction of Teal Mask Ogerpon, but now with that energy draw and it just adds so much to that deck, and it just made it one of the powerhouses right now versus it being like on the edge.
Oh, yeah.
Another issue I may come upon is either Dragapult or Zard, just because of the HP. I have practiced online. I have beaten Dragapult with full HP. It's tough, but I have done it, but everything had to line up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I 100% agree that from my standpoint, Guardy and Dragapult are my two biggest weaknesses. Like Zard with Teal Mask, I can swing for knockout with them just having two fire energies on.
Yeah.
I can swing for knockout there. Because then with Teal Mask, I'm swinging for 360. So as long as they don't have an HP modifier on there, I'm good. With Dragapult, you're not attacking with a Pokemon that has a ability, so Cornerstone Mask doesn't help. So I gotta look at getting something set up so that way it can take the hit and then switching Hearthflame in and taking the knockout.
Or you can go with the Wellspring, because doesn't that do bench damage?
It does. It does a 120, so it can knock out at 122. But the problem with that is you have to shuffle your energy back into the deck.
Oh, gotcha.
So if I can get a Bravery Charm on, get something set up, tank the hit, and then get a Teal Mat and have Hearthflame in, and it does double the damage does 20 damage for each damage counter.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
if I take a Dragapult hit, I'm gonna swing back with 400 if I can get that out.
Yeah.
So it's just making sure I run a one of. It's a debate to run a second one, but then I have to take something out, and it's
because
the only Dragapult that I've seen so far is Jessie. So that to me is are we going to see a lot of that at COC? And I don't know about that.
But we'll see a lot of Regidrago, which will play a Dragapult in there.
Right. However, Regidrago V-Star has an ability.
That's right. You can
Cornerstone. Yep. So there's that's what I'm saying. Dragapult and Guardy are really my two hardest ones. So, but that's what I think we gotta just see what we're gonna tech for over the next couple days. But
yeah,
do you think now that you've gone through a couple of tournaments, I'll have a better answer for this probably next episode. But do you think that Shrouded Fables is going to influence how either we play, or if there's going to be some big influences to what we see in the meta locally?
Hey, all you rogues out there. We just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you to our sponsor, For Honor and Glory. They are a great support to us and have all the things you need related to Pokemon, Magic, D&D, Warhammer, and more. You can go on over to forhonorandglory.com and use discount code ROGUE24. That's forhonorandglory.com and discount code ROGUE24 for 10% off your entire online order. All right, let's get back to talking about those sneaky decks.
I would say yes. There's, say, about 5 cards that will influence the meta once Strava Fables is released next week.
Yep.
2 of those cards are the Dust Noir line.
Yep.
That will
Dust
be
Glops,
with
Dust Noir. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That will be paired with Charizard most likely, but there's other like Lost Zone variants with it.
Yep.
So that's going to be a couple cards. The new Kyurem, Dragon Kyurem. A lot of people are talking about putting that in Regidrago.
Which makes complete sense.
And is also a counter to really a Lost Box deck, but
Right.
it is a hefty tech.
Yeah.
Unless everything goes right.
Right.
Another card I would talk about that I haven't really seen a lot of people discuss is the Nightly Stretcher. So a lot of people are saying take out a Super Rod and do a 1/1 line of Super Rod Night Stretcher and get either that energy or that Pokemon back into your hand.
Right.
So I would expect to see a lot of that. It's an item card, doesn't influence your deck that much, but the ability of getting something back that you need to, either the energy or Pokemon, I think that's really important.
Yep. I agree with that. So I agree that those are going to be what we're going to see in the meta, but for you and I, maybe with rogue decks, I think there's two other cards that we're going to be a little bit more interested in with rogue decks.
I wonder what cards those would be.
I think it's going to be the Okidogi EX and the Mochi.
Oh, yeah.
For us to maybe have a cloth variant come back.
Not even cloth, but just like the play on using poison as an attacking mechanism again.
Right.
That's one thing I really liked when I played that deck.
Right.
And being able to bring that back, and I believe if you get everything right with the poison, the Perilous Jungle, the Mochi, and getting the Petron. Oh, and the...
No, you don't even need the Petron.
We
You put a Radiant Sneasler down.
That's right, yeah.
With Okidogi. So with Okidogi EX, it's 250 base, plus 40 with the Mochi, plus Perilous Jungle is another 10.
Either 10 or 20 to a non-dark type.
So you're right. So I think it's 10. Excuse the dog. But then if you have Radiant Sneasler on checkup, you go to a 30 instead of a 10.
Yeah.
On checkup. So right there, you one-shot a Zard.
Maybe not Zard because you'll be at 320 because
there's a way the way the math works out. Zard is at 320.
No, Zard's 330.
330?
But Perilous Jungle doesn't apply to it because it's a dark type.
Maybe Mochi is 50. I gotta look out that. But the way somebody did math, or maybe the base is 260. Maybe the base is 260. Hold on, now I gotta look.
Gotta love doing the research beforehand, right, guys? But no, there's a way to one-shot these big bulky Pokemon.
It is 260 because the base is 130, but then if it's poisoned, it does 260.
So 260 plus
40 with the Mochi, and then you do 30 damage with the Radiant Sneasler instead of 10 on checkup.
So yeah, perfect math. And you don't need the
Perilous Jungle.
And then if you have the Perilous Jungle, you have the extra buffer if you need to. If you can't get
on something besides Zard.
Yeah.
But the only thing that has more base HP than Zard right now is Palafin, and I haven't really seen anybody.
Yeah, no one's playing Palafin.
Right. So either way, you're one-sharding Dragapult and Zard, which are your two biggest HPs.
Oh yeah.
That's insane. And I don't think anybody's going to expect that, except now that we're talking about it. But
well, people have been talking about it. It's so combo reliant.
It is, but Cloth has always been combo reliant.
Yeah, and I went 5-0 at 2 challenges with it.
Right. So that's my point.
So as long as you put the practice in, I think it'll be a fun deck at the very least.
Right.
So once we get the cards, me and John we'll come up with a list, and we'll probably make that one the rogue deck of the episodes. We're not gonna hide that fact.
No.
We've been talking about this deck for months.
So, all right. So, next thing that I want to bring up before we get to our rogue deck of the week is going to be the new segment that we're going to do weekly. Now, right now, it is lining up right that we're going to do this new segment and then our rogue deck of the week. We may switch it up a little bit here and there. Rogue deck of the week is always going to be our last thing to talk about because that's just who we are.
Oh yeah.
But introducing the new segment, the Cling Clang Corner. And why are we calling it the Cling Clang Corner? Remind me.
So there's a popular saying, "What grinds my gears?" So just wanted to make it Pokemon theme. So this is basically where we're kind of give a little rant about something we've seen in the TCG realm that kind of irritates us, or something we just want to get off our chest. So we may not do it every week, but it's a way for us to talk about something we've seen. And this week, for both me and John have something. My Cling Clang Corner is going to be about the other deck icon you see on the Limitless page.
So for those of you that don't know, Limitless TCG is a place where your big tournaments, your regionals, your special events, online tournaments, stuff like that, are going to list the deck lists that did well, right? So on the online tournaments, that's normally the top 20-ish decks, depending on how many people were there.
Well, sometimes you see them all. It depends on how they release. And if it's not a main archetype or a common archetype, they usually put a Robo Substitute Doll as the thing, and it's just other. So almost every day, I'll go on the play limit list, see the online tournament, see what's doing well, and I'm really interested in that other icon. I'm like, oh, they went 501. What is this weird deck? I'll click on it. Oh, it's just Zarpult. Okay, I see another one. Click on it. Zarpult. So for me, it's like, okay, can we just establish that Charizard Dragapult is an archetype in itself, and it's not really other. It's not different. Can we just put those two Pokemon? Yeah. Can we just put those two icons together?
Because a lot of decks do, depending on your main attacker and then your support Pokemon, have two actual icons. So like normally with Charizard, it was depending on the variant that you were playing. It was either Charizard or Charizard Pidgeot, or like Dialga, because you use Metang as your engine for energy. It has a Dialga and then a Metang. So they give you kind of like a two icon thing, and Zarpult's not given that respect.
I'm like, it's an established archetype. It's doing well. People are playing it. It was played in regionals and ICs.
Right.
Give it its own icon, Limitless. Please, we know this is a thing. This isn't new.
Right.
So it's just, for me, looking at other decks, it kind of irritates me. I'm like, okay, I know what this deck is. Let's respect the other weird decks out there and make this its own icon.
Give respect to the rogue decks as well as give respect to the actual ones that are doing well.
Yeah.
So that's your Cling Clang Corner. My Cling Clang Corner is, I know it's me because I pick up on certain things, but when you're in a tournament and you've got rows of people playing, like our local tournaments, we normally normally the tables at most of the local tournaments that we play at fit 3 pairs of people. So 6 people at a table. You're normally in rows. I should not be able to hear the moves that you are telling your opponent that you're doing 5 tables away.
Oh, yeah.
I get that we get excited, especially when we're working through things. I get loud when I get excited, obviously, if you've been listening to us for a while. But you can tell your opponent what you're doing from right across the table, just talking normally. Like, you don't have to be loud with everything that you're doing, because unfortunately that can very much disrupt the thought processes of the players around you. And some of the thought processes require a lot of combos. We just talked about a deck that's very combo heavy. So my cling corner is just don't talk loud. Respect your other players around you. Be able to effectively showcase what you're doing, keep your board state clean, and be able to talk your way through what you're doing without disrupting everybody else around you. To me, that's just a respect thing.
Yeah, and to the professors out there, we get it. We're professors too, and sometimes that's a hard conversation to have with these type of players. Like,
Right.
hey, can you lower your voice? We're inside. And if there's something where they can't do it, then that will be opportunity for them to have. You can have a one-on-one conversation, trying to find a solution that will work best, and try not to, like, we don't want to embarrass any players, but at the same time, it is a common courtesy.
Yeah.
Like, the person's just right across the table from you.
Yep. All right, so that's Cling Corner for the week. We'll see after a couple more tournaments if we have anything else that comes up.
Yeah.
But, all right, so Rogue Deck of the Week. I'm going to let you take it away because it's your deck. I haven't, unfortunately, been able to play around with it because I've been otherwise occupied this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You and me have talked. You've been having an interesting week, needless to say.
If anybody works in the tech industry, you know my hell this week.
Yeah. But yeah, so this week, I watch a lot of PokeTubers, a lot of TCG content creators, and one deck caught my eye, and it caught my eye because it features Scizor. Scizor is my favorite Pokemon. I've talked about that in our first couple episodes, and I've been wanting to find a deck where this card can work. So the concept of this is supposed to be more or less a single prize deck. There are a couple two-prizers in here, but it really revolves around the punishing Scizor's attack from the baby Scizor. So for 1 metal energy, you do 10 damage and then 50 damage for any Pokemon that your opponent has in play that has an ability. So if your opponent's playing a very ability-heavy deck, you can hit for 310 damage.
That's awesome.
With a single prizer using 1 energy.
And hold on a second. It's a metal Pokemon, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you Chen Pao players, look out.
Oh, yeah. And since Chen Pao is weak to metal, you don't need that many Pokemon out.
That's my
You need
point.
2.
And wait,
'Cause
Chen Pao's whole entire engine is Chen Pao with Shivery Chill and Excalibur with
Super Cold.
Super Cold.
And then you have the Bibarel.
And the Bibarel. Literally, their whole entire engine is working against them with this deck. That's awesome.
The only attacker that doesn't have an ability is Iron Hands. And then if they have enough in play, you can one-shot that.
Oh, we need to find you a Chen Pao heavy play area. Oh my gosh.
I actually played this last night against a Blissey player.
Oh, I didn't even think about
Every Pokemon in that deck has an ability. I was hitting
Blissey,
310.
Guardy, which that's perfect math for Guardy too.
And with Guardy, you don't really need a lot. They don't need a lot on the bench for you to hit much because all their attackers are very low.
Right, but I'm just thinking about it's perfect math for Guardy itself. Guardy EX is 310.
Yeah, but not every Pokemon in Guardy plays an ability. It's only
Your Curlias?
Curlias and Guardy.
No.
And Monkey Dory, and that's it.
Fluttermane?
Oh, yeah.
Klefki?
If they have all those out, which a good player won't, but still, that's a
Manaphy?
lot.
Manaphy?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
This is actually a pretty decent deck, Dean.
It can be a decent. It can be. It's hard because most people catch on the concept of deck really quick. I would say the average amount you're hitting for is like 160. That's 3 Pokemon in play that have an ability, but you're a single prize deck. And then for those where you need a quick KO, you do play the EX. So with only 2 energy, you just have to discard 2 metal energy, and you can hit for 240. So you can take out those Iron Hands. You can take out anything.
A Raging Bolt.
Raging Bolt without the Bravery and Charm. So you can you can still
Teal
do
masks,
decent things.
Like anything. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So you also play a couple of jamming towers in here. That's one of the techs I really like in this deck. You can shut down Raging Bolts really quick. You can shut down Gardevoir.
Yeah.
It's just a really nice stadium that no one really remembers. It's a fun deck. The big downfall is you're not hitting really quick.
Right.
And you're not hitting really hard. Because right now we're in a format where if you don't hit hard, you're going to have a hard time. But I love playing this deck. It's really fun. When I do get the wins, it's so rewarding, just like any other rogue deck. The last game I played was actually against a Lugia player. Played it on the casual ladder, just because I didn't want to really do much on the rank ladder. And I wasn't sure if they knew what they were doing, or if they just had a bad hand. But they just benched everything and not have room for the Archeops.
Oh, no.
So I was just like cleaning them up so quick.
Yeah, because if they've got Lumineon in play, Lugia, V-Star in play, yeah.
It was weird because like they played the Lumineon twice. They played 2 Snorlax and Unseized Fat. It was just, it looked like an older Lugia list that they just haven't updated yet. But they were filling their bench too quick, and I just took advantage of it. So that was a fun win. But yeah, it's a fun metal deck. We'll post the list on the show notes. I would say maybe the one thing I would change from it, I'd play a 1 Lana's Aid and 1 Toro. The Professor Toro scenario. I did the Toro scenario because the first couple games I played, I kind of wish I could bring up the EX back to my hand. Ever since then, I didn't encounter that scenario. Right. And then Lana Aid is supposed to be a card where you can get up to 3 in any combination of Pokemon that don't have a rule box and basic energy. It's a one-off, and it's very hard to get that when you need it.
Right.
So I may have switched that out. I don't know for what yet. It is pretty consistent with setup. I will say that. It's just the power level isn't there.
Yeah.
The Scizor only has 270 HP, so I may put in like a Rigid Band or something, but it's a fun deck. If you get your wins, and if you play into the right meta, it could be a good call.
Right.
But right now, it's not that. If you want to bring this to just your locals where you're not having a challenge, you'll have a fun time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's everything I've got for this week. How about you?
Well, I'm good. I'm just glad to be back, and I'm ready for this upcoming weekend with the 2 tournaments we have. We'll see how we do, and maybe, John, you'll get another top 4 finish. Maybe a top finish.
That'd be great. Yeah, I finally beat that third place curse, but we're gonna see what happens. I may have some other tricks in the back pocket for this weekend too.
I think this is your season. You and me talked a little bit before. I think my time was last season where I did the day 2 and I did above average.
Right.
So I think this season's all you, and if we can support you in any way we can, we're going to get you that top finish.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. All right. Well, that's it from our end for this week, y'all. Hope you keep having fun playing your sneaky decks through the seasons.
We'll see you next week. Hey all you rogues out there. We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor and one of our home leagues at For Honor and Glory. They have all you need for your card games and TTRPG needs. Some upcoming events that they have are the Pokemon Go Challenge on August 13th and the Pokemon Trading Card Game Cup on Sunday, July 28th. You can go over to For Honor and Glory and use the discount code ROGUE24, that's ROGUE24, for 10% off your entire order. Have fun playing those sneaky decks.